బాబు ఆయన ఉన్నాడా మన రహీం ఉన్నాడా చూడు ఇది కొద్దిగా పక్క రూమ్ తీసుకురావాలి ఐసైల్ ఎక్కా ఆయనకి ఇచ్చేసే నాకు క్లాస్ ఉంది హలో ఏ రూమ్ क्लास ओके ओके ले వస్తాను సార్ నేను మధ్యాహ్నం కట్టేసి మధ్యాహ్నం వచ్చింది మధ్యాహ్నం ఓకే సార్ खिड़की क्लोज क्लोज कर बंद करो Very good afternoon, friends. Today we are going to discuss some of the important questions and also lesson in Western political thought. This is a paper in 5th semester. As we all know that political thought can be classified into two types: Western political thought and Indian political thought. In the Western political thought, we have three types of political thought: ancient Western political thought, medieval Western political thought, and modern Western political thought. I'll repeat. Within Western political thought, there are three categorizations, three periods: the Western ancient political thought, the Western medieval political thought, and the Western modern political thought. This is how political thought can be classified broadly into two types: Western political thought and Indian political thought. Again, within Western political thought, there are three periods: ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. So the ancient period, medieval period, and modern period are based on the historical ages: ancient age, medieval age, and modern age. Roughly, we can say from 5th century BC to 5th century AD, that is called as ancient period. From 6th century AD to 13th century AD, that is called medieval political thought. From 14th century to the present 21st century, that is called as modern Western political thought. So you must remember that political thought can be classified into three periods: ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. Within ancient period, from 5th century BC to 5th century AD, almost 1,000 years. How many political philosophers are there? And what are the basic content of the philosophy during the ancient period in the Western societies is called as ancient Western political thought. From 6th century to 13th century, from 6th century AD to 13th century AD, that is called as the medieval political thought. And from 14th century AD to the present 21st century AD, it is called as the modern political thought. So this is the basic understanding of political thought. So within the Western political thought, there are three periods. In today's class, we'll be discussing about ancient Western political thought. Ancient Western political thought. In the next class, we'll be discussing about medieval Western political thought. After that, we'll be discussing modern Western political thought. So today, we are confining ourselves to ancient Western political thought. As you all know, ancient Western political thought consists of the political thought of Greece and Roman. Greek and Roman. Greek and Roman political thought is called as ancient political thought. So ancient political thought is nothing but the Greek political thought and Roman political thought. The Greek political thought and Roman political thought consists of the ancient Western political thought. So as we all know, Greek or the Greece, actually a country called Greece in Europe, is the country which is famous for the political thought. In fact, Greece is the native place for political thought. Greek political philosophers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, who have founded the political thought. That's why Greece is called as the homeland of political thought. So in all the Greek political philosophers, there are three important political philosophers. One is Socrates. The other one is Plato. The other one is Aristotle. There are so many political philosophers, but these three philosophers are very important. So these three philosophers have given so many theories on the society, on the government, on the law, on justice, on citizens, on the state, and various other things. That's why they have written so many books. And in those books, the Western political thought is very much described. So the Western political thought consists of three important philosophers. One is Socrates. The other one is Plato. The third one is Aristotle. Another surprising thing is all these three philosophers are related to each other. Socrates is the teacher of Plato. Plato is the teacher of Aristotle. Socrates is the teacher of Plato. Plato is the teacher of Aristotle. So Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. These are the three important philosophers, three important political philosophers that are called as Greek political philosophers. And these Greek political philosophers has given us so many theories on the state, the government, the society, and citizens, various groups of citizens, the relationship between citizen and the government, and various other things. So that's why Greek political thought is concentrated with the three important political philosophers: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. So you must remember these two things first. The Greek political philosophy, or the ancient political philosophy, ancient Western political philosophy, emanated from Greek political philosophy. That is the first point. The second point is ancient Western political thought consists of the philosophy between 5th century BC to 5th century AD. 5th century BC to 5th century AD. That is called as ancient political philosophy, ancient Western political philosophy. During the same time, during the 5th century BC to 5th century AD, in the Western societies, we have Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. During the same time, in India also, we have so many philosophers. Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha was there in Indian philosophy. He also belonged to 6th and 5th century BC. And after that, we have Kautilya, Manu. So these philosophers were there in the Indian political thought. But our subject is not Indian political thought. It is only Western political thought. So we must confine ourselves to Western political thought. So Western political thought consisted of Greek philosophy and Roman philosophy. Ancient Western political philosophy consisted of Greek philosophy and Roman philosophy. And within the Greek philosophy, there are three important philosophers: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These are the three important philosophers who are in Greek philosophy, Greek political thought. Okay, now let us discuss what are the features of Greek philosophy. If you turn to unit number 1, that is characteristics of ancient Greek political thought. What are the characteristics of Greek political thought? As we all know, there are three important philosophers in the ancient Greek political thought. One is Socrates, the other one is Plato, the third one is Aristotle. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These are the three important philosophers. So among these three philosophers, Socrates gave the theory of knowledge. The theory of knowledge. The theory of knowledge is given by Socrates. The theory of knowledge. This is given by Socrates. Plato gave the theory of ideal state. The theory of ideal state is given by Plato. This ideal state is called as a republic. So he has explained what are the features of an ideal state, a model state. So in that model state, what are the good qualities of a state? What are the good qualities of a government? He has described. So that is called as theory of ideal state. That is given by Plato. And Aristotle gave classification of constitutions, classification of governments, classification of governments or classification of constitutions. That is given by Aristotle. So these are the three important philosophers. The first one is Socrates, the second one is Plato, and the third one is Aristotle. As I have told you in the beginning itself, all the three philosophers have also a relationship among themselves. What relationship? Socrates is the guru of Plato. Plato is the guru of Aristotle. So that means Socrates is the teacher and Plato is the student. And again, Plato is the teacher and Aristotle is the student. So this is how Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, these three philosophers are called as the ancient Greek philosophers. Now let us see what are the important characteristics of Greek political philosophy. Let us briefly discuss about the first lesson, and then we'll go to some of the important questions that are given in the first lesson itself. The first one is Greek philosophy centered around Greek city-states. Greek city-states. What are Greek city-states? Greek city-states means in the old Greece, there are so many villages, and each village is surrounded by rivers, hills, and hillocks. As a result, each village used to have its own government. So these governments are called as city-states. City-states. One of the important and prominent city-states of Greece are Athens. Athens, where the modern Olympics are continued. In fact, the modern Olympics are started during ancient period in the Greek city-state called Athens. Athens is the birthplace of Socrates and Plato. So Athens is a very famous Greek city-state. So all the philosophers, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, wrote about city-states. How a small city-state consisted of some 5,000 to 10,000 population. They have their own government. They used to change the governments. They have their military. They have their army. They have their employees. They have their religion. So that's how each city-state was an independent state by itself. So that's how there was independence for each and every small government, small city-states. So Greek philosophy centered around the city-state. They describe the city-states, and they also discuss the problems of city-states, and they take city-state as a model form and give theories on how an ideal state can be built. So friends, the first and foremost feature of Greek philosophy is Greek philosophy centered around Greek city-states. They have described about Greek city-states. They have enlisted the problems of Greek city-states, and they have analyzed the working of the Greek city-states. All the books written by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle consisted of the information about the Greek city-states. So information about Greek city-states in the political philosophy of the Greek political philosophers is one of the prominent characteristics of the Greek philosophy. So the first and foremost important characteristic of Greek philosophy is it described about city-states. It describes about the problems of city-states. It describes about the nature of city-states. It describes about various forms of governments in city-states. And it describes about citizenship rules in city-states. So that means all the books written by philosophers described about city-states. City-state is a unit. On the basis of that unit, by analyzing the unit, all the philosophers wrote their books. So one of the important characteristics of Greek political philosophy is they have discussed about Greek city-states. Greek city-states are the special attraction of Greek political thought. This is one thing. And second thing is Greek idea of citizenship. Greek idea of citizenship. Who is a citizen? Nowadays, whoever is born in a particular country, they are called as citizens. If a person is born in India, he becomes Indian citizen, irrespective of age, irrespective of caste, irrespective of religion, irrespective of region, irrespective of the color of the body, irrespective of the gender. Everybody who is born in this homeland, they are called as citizens of India. But in Greek city-states, citizenship is not given to all the people. Citizenship is given only to a small number of people who can actively participate in the formation of law. Whoever is active, whoever contributes for the formation of law is only known as a citizen. Whoever is active in the process of judiciary, he is only called as law. He is only called as a citizen. So that means not all the population is citizens. Only those people who are actively rendering the functions of justice, the functions of lawmaking, are only called as the citizens. So the modern concept of citizenship is entirely different from the ancient Greek citizenship. During the ancient times of Greece, in the Greek city-states, not all the people are called as citizens. Only those people who are actively involved in the lawmaking process, who are actively involved in the judicial functions, are only called as the citizens. So this is the second important characteristic of Greek city-states. According to Greek citizenship, children are not citizens, old age people are not citizens, women are not citizens, soldiers are not citizens, farmers are not citizens, employees are not citizens, but those people who are actively involved in the lawmaking and in the process of judiciary are only called as citizens. So this is how citizenship is given a very narrow definition by the Greek philosophers. In fact, in the Greek city-states, not all the people are called as citizens. Only those people who are actively involved in the lawmaking process and who are actively involved in the process of making laws are only called as citizens. So this is an important aspect. The first one is Greek philosophy is centered around city-states. The second important feature is limitations to Greek citizenship. So that means the idea of citizenship among the Greek people is something different to the idea of citizenship of modern age. In the modern times, whoever is born, a newborn child, from a newborn child to an aged person, everybody, irrespective of age, caste, region, religion, race, color of the body, gender, everybody is a citizen in modern times. But in Greek citizens, Greek city-states, not everybody is a citizen. Only those people who are actively involved in the lawmaking process and in the judicial functions are only called as citizens. So that means their idea of citizenship is very narrow. Their idea of citizenship is very unique. That's why if there is a population of 10,000 citizens and 10,000 persons in a village, only 100 or 200 people only are called as citizens. The remaining people are only called ordinary people. They are not citizens. So that means those people who are actively involved in lawmaking, those people who are actively involved in judicial functions are only called as citizens. So this is the second important characteristic of Greek political thought. And third one is their view of law. They considered law as a great value. Everybody should be obedient to law. Law obedience, obedience to law. Law is considered as a God. If you do not follow the law, you are not following God. So that means law is considered as very divine. It's a divine instrument. Law is an instrument to regulate the behavior of the people. Among the people, there are so many people. People with a normal behavior, people with abnormal behavior, people with below normal behavior. So law is there to regulate the behavior of all the people. It brings average behavior among all the people, normal behavior among all the people. So that's how the concept of law is given very importance, a huge importance among Greek city-states. And law is considered as very divine. Nobody should disobey the law. Everybody should follow the law. Disobedience to law is considered as a sin. Sin means papa. So that's how everybody considered as law as a divine instrument. Law obedience is an important characteristic of Greek city-states. So in the Greek political thought, we have come across three important characteristics. One is Greek political thought centered around Greek city-states. That is first. The second one is Greek idea of citizenship is something unique. Only those people who are actively involved in the lawmaking process and in the judicial functions are only called as the citizens. That is the second one. And third one is their view of law is something different. They considered law as divine. They have not tolerated any disobedience to law. Every person, from a small child to an age-old man, everybody should obey the law. Disobedience to law is considered as a sin. So that's why obedience to law is an important aspect of Greek political thought. This is the third important. And fourth one is Greek view of justice. They have considered justice as an important political value. They considered justice as a very virtue, political virtue and political value. The government should give justice to the people. The people should follow justice and the society should follow justice. So justice is there at the level of the individual, at the level of a citizen, at the level of the government, at the level of the society, at the level of a profession, at the level of a government, at the level of the state. So that's how justice is the basis for all the modern living. So that's why justice is considered as an important aspect of Greek political thought. Greek political thought has given so much of value to the theory of justice. In fact, some of the philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, they have written so many chapters on justice. In fact, Plato, he has named his book as A Treatise on Justice. He has written a wonderful book called Republic. And that Republic is considered as a treatise on justice. So justice is considered as a political value by Greek philosophers. Without justice, society cannot survive. So for the survival of the society, you need to have justice. Justice is the foundation for the cohesive nature of the society. Without justice, a society can never be stabilized. The stability of the society always depends on justice. So law and justice, these are the twins. Without law, justice cannot be achieved. Without justice, a law cannot be achieved. So law and justice are interdependent on each other. So if you don't follow the law, without following the law, justice cannot be achieved. And without achieving justice, law can be followed. Only with the help of law only, justice is to be ensured. So this is another important aspect. So friends, justice is another important aspect. And there are also so many other things like Greek city-states are very normal states and they have limited population, limited government, and their political structures are also have limited jurisdiction. So Greek political thought has these important characteristics. The first one is Greek political thought considered Greek city-states as the center of all the discussion, as the center of their theories. The second thing is Greek political thought has given a very unique idea of citizenship. And thirdly, Greeks' view of justice is a divine concept. They have equated justice with the divinity. So that means obedience to law is considered as a very noble thing. And every citizen is supposed to obey the law. Any disobedience to law is considered as a sin. So obedience to law is another important aspect of political thought, Greek political thought. And the other thing is, Greek political thought has provided a very novel concept called justice. Justice. Justice means equality, fraternity, liberty. All these things are combined. As a result of this, you get justice. Justice is a synthesis of all political values like liberty, equality, fraternity, unity and integrity. So that's called a justice. So if a person do not get justice, sometimes we may face injustice. When in the context of injustice, we require justice. When we do not get justice, our life becomes meaningless. We may have to live without self-respect. We may have to compromise ourselves with our dignified living. That's why justice is very much required for the stability of the society and for the honor of the society. That's why European political thought, particularly the Western political thought, among the Western political thought, the Greek political thought, has provided a divine value, a positive value to the very concept of justice. So friends, these are some of the important aspects of political thought. Here in page number 8, we have a question in the first lesson. The first this is describe the nature of Greek city-states. Describe the nature of Greek city-states. In this, you have to write about the geographical formation of Greek city-states. How a small village surrounded by hills, hillocks, rivers are called as city-states. So they are called as city-states. They have natural boundaries. Natural boundaries means nature has created rivers, hills, and hillocks as natural boundaries. Just like we have the Himalayan mountains. Himalayan mountains is our border. It is the border between India and China. So it is a natural border. Nobody has created this. And likewise, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal. So these are all the oceans and seas. They separate the countries. So the countries consider these oceans and seas as natural boundaries. So likewise, even Greek city-states also have certain natural boundaries like hills, hillocks, mountains, rivers, rivulets, oceans, seas, bays. So likewise. So this is how Greek city-states are very small states consisted of little population, not more than 10,000 population in a village or in a city-state. And there are a number of Greek city-states like Athens, Sparta, likewise. So these are the two important city-states which are very prominent in changing the governments. And ancient philosopher Plato belonged to Athens and Aristotle belonged to Sparta. So these are the two important city-states. So among the city-states, there are certain important characteristics. The first one is they have a very limited government. The government for a limited population. So the government used to exercise full control and power over the people. And the governments are changed frequently by the people. There are so many other forms of governments. There is military government. There is a civilian government. There is a democratic government. There is a monarchical form of government. There is a tyranny, a government. Likewise, there is oligarchy. There is aristocracy. There is polity. So likewise, there are different types of governments. And people have experimented with the types of governments. So in the Greek city-states, people have experimented with the governments and frequently changed the governments. So this is also an important aspect of Greek city-states. And likewise, Greek city-states used to have a very narrow form of citizenship. Their concept of citizenship is very narrow. They have not guaranteed citizenship to all the people. The citizenship is confined only to those people who have exercised their power in the formation of judicial functions and lawmaking. Those who are active in lawmaking and judicial functions are only considered as citizens. So this is an important aspect. And likewise, Greeks' view of law, they have considered law as a very positive instrument to regulate the behavior of the people. In the beginning itself, I am telling you, the first thing is people have so many types. They have normal people, they have abnormal people, they are below normal people. So when you have different types of people based on behavior, not all the people have same behavior or average behavior or normal behavior. Some people have abnormal behavior and some people have below normal behavior and some people have normal behavior. But law is an instrument to bring normal behavior among all the people. It brings normal behavior among the people. It punishes the people with abnormal behavior, and it protects the people with below normal behavior and normal behavior. So this is how the concept of law is another important aspect. And people followed law. Obedience to law is considered as a very important thing in Greek political thought. Nobody was disobeying the law. Obedience to law is considered as a very positive instrument. Everybody obeyed the law. It is the bounden duty of every citizen, every person in the Greek city-states to obey the law. Disobedience to law is considered as a sin. That's why there is also kind of divine virtue considered to be the law. Law is considered as a divine instrument. It's as good as a God's commandment, God's instruction. If you disobey the law, it amounts to say that you are disobeying the God. That's why law is considered as a positive instrument to change the behavior of the people, to regulate the behavior of the people. So this is also another important aspect. And after that, Greeks have given importance to justice. Justice is considered as a very positive instrument, is a positive value. What is justice? When do we need justice? When we face injustice, when we face conflict, we require justice. That's why there is a saying in English, justice presupposes conflict. Justice presupposes conflict means you don't require justice every day. You require justice only when there is a conflict, when your freedom is at danger, when your security is at danger, when your property is at danger, when your life is at danger. That's called injustice, conflict. So that's why you require justice only when there is a conflict. That's why justice presupposes conflict. Without conflict, no need of justice. When there is a conflict, justice is required. That's why justice presupposes conflict. Hence, Greek people also gave a lot of value to justice. And they have defined justice at different levels. What is justice at the citizen level? What is justice for a common person? What is justice to a government? What is justice to a society? What is justice to a different professions in the society? What is justice to the state? What is justice to the nation? So likewise, justice is defined at every level. So the concept of justice is given more importance in Greek political thought. We find this in the writings of Plato and Aristotle. In Plato's writings, we have theory of justice. In Aristotle's writings, we have theory of justice. That's why in all the theories of justice, in fact, Plato has written a great book called The Republic. The very book itself is named as a treatise on justice. Republic, the treatise on justice. That means he considered justice as a political value, and without justice, no society can survive. No society can have the political stability without justice. That's why justice is considered as a very positive value or political value. So friends, this is how justice is another important aspect. And these are some of the important aspects of political thought. There are questions here. The second question is, analyze the characteristics of Greek political thought and distinguish it from modern political thought. So while you are discussing the characteristics of Greek political thought, the first point is Greek political thought centered around Greek city-states. Greek political thought discussed more about Greek city-states. Greek political thought discussed about the origin of Greek city-states, boundaries of Greek city-states, nature of Greek city-states, people of Greek city-states, governments of Greek city-states, society of Greek city-states. So likewise, Greek city-states are the center of all the discussion in Greek political thought. The ancient Greek political thought is centered around the concept of Greek city-states. So this is the first important point. The second important point is Greek city-states are the grounds for experimenting with governments. Greek city-states have changed the governments, very frequently changed the governments. They have changed the constitutions. They have changed the system of ruling and states. So that's why Greek city-states are considered as the experimental grounds for political thought. So political philosophers have made so many experiments. They have observed so many experiments that went on in Greek city-states, and they have described them in the respective books. The third thing is Greek political thought has viewed citizenship in a very unique fashion. According to Greek political thought, not all the people are citizens of the country. Only those people who have active role in the formation of the law, in the formulation of law, and in the functions of judiciary, they are only called as citizens. There are so many citizens. There are so many people in any society. There are thousands of people in any society. But all people are not citizens, according to Greek philosophy. Only those people who are actively involved in lawmaking, who are actively involved in judicial functions, are only called as citizens. In other words, the people who make the law, called as legislators, are only called as citizens. And the people who implement the laws and give justice on the basis of law, called as judges. Judges are the citizens. So according to Greek philosophy, only the judges, lawyers, legislators are only called as citizens. But not all the people are called as citizens. So those people who have active participation in lawmaking, active participation in rendering the justice, are only called as citizens. So this is the third important aspect of Greek political. And the fourth one is Greeks' view of law. Greeks have viewed law as in a different manner. They have a lot of respect for law. Without law, society becomes anarchy, lawlessness. Lawlessness will lead to the exploitation of stronger on the weaker. Always the strong person in the society exploit the weak people when there is no law, when there is no protection, when there is no police. So to stop the exploitation of weak people, lead to anarchy, violence, instability in the society. That's why Greeks considered law as a very important instrument in regulating the human behavior. Without law, no society will survive. So for the survival of any society, law is required. That's why Greek political thought has given much more importance to the very concept of law. And without law, no society will survive. The political stability of any society, or for that matter, the development of society, the progress of society, the economic prosperity of the society, the social integrity of the society is based on the law. Without law, without respect for the law, without obedience to law, no society will prosper. So that's why law is considered as a very positive instrument for the survival of any society. That is the fourth important characteristic of the Greek society. The first one is all the Greek political philosophy is centered around Greek city-states. The second important aspect is Greek city-states have separate boundaries and separate governments. They experimented with the different forms of governments. The third one is Greek city-states have a very novel form of citizenship. Not all the people who are born are called citizens. Only those people who are active in lawmaking and in implementing the judiciary only called as citizens. So their concept of citizenship is something different to the modern day concept of justice. And fourthly, their concept of law is something different. And they consider law as a very positive instrument for the regulation of human behavior. So this is how the Greek political philosophy has so many important aspects. And the second question is very important. And third question is, explain the main features of Greek political thought. Almost the same thing you can write. The first one is, Greek political philosophy is centered around Greek political thought, Greek city-states. That is the first one. The second point is, Greek political philosophy discussed about Greek city-states and their experiments with the governments and everything. Third one is, Greek political thought discussed about the citizenship and citizenship roles. And fourth one is, Greek citizenship, Greek political thought discussed and gave high importance to the concept of law. The concept of law is given more importance in Greek political thought. And the fifth one is, Greek political thought has given much more importance to the concept of justice. The concept of justice is given more importance, much more importance in Greek political thought. So this is the fifth one. So these are some of the important features of Greek political thought. And Greek political thought has given three important philosophers to human civilization. One is Socrates, the other one is Plato, the other one is Aristotle. These are the three important political philosophers that have described their theories based on Greek city-states. Socrates has given the theory of justice. The theory of justice is given by Socrates. And Plato has given the theory of ideal state. The theory of ideal state is given by Plato. And Aristotle has given the theory of constitutions and the classification of governments. So this is given by Aristotle. So that means Greek political philosophy has laid down the foundation for political thought, particularly the Western political thought in the Western civilization. As we all know, political thought can be classified into two types. One is Indian political thought, the other one is Western political. The Indian political thought also has ancient period, medieval period, modern period. In the ancient Indian political thought, we have Gautama Buddha, Kautilya, Manu, and other people. In the medieval Indian political thought, we have the Bhakti movement poets like Kabir Das, Nanak, Tulsi Das, and others. And in the modern political thought, we have Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Jayaprakash Narayan, Ram Manohar Lohia, Vinoba Bhave, and others. So this is how the Indian political thought is also based on the periodization, the ancient period, modern, medieval period, and modern period. On the same lines, we have the Western political philosophy also. So Western political philosophy also has three important periods: ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. The ancient period consists of Greeks and Romans, but the Romans are not there in our syllabus. We have only Greeks, Greek philosophers, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These are the three important philosophers that we have in our syllabus. So ancient Greek philosophy, ancient Western political philosophy is centered around the concept of Greek city-states. Greek city-states are the city-states that have provided potential ground for understanding the politics. In fact, the very word politics has come from a word polis. Polis means a city-state. The affairs of the polis, the activities of the polis is called as politics. And Aristotle is considered as the father of political science. Aristotle is considered as the father of political science. And Greek political philosophy has given importance to the state, society, and government. In fact, Aristotle also has given a very wonderful quotation. In this context, we must understand his quotation also. He says, man is a social animal. Man cannot live without society. So if anybody is living without a society, he must be either a god or a beast. So that's why without society, no individual can survive. Man is a social animal. He cannot live in solitude. If at all he lives in solitude, either he must be a god or a beast. This is the great quotation given by Aristotle. So according to Aristotle, man is a social animal. He lives only in a family, in a society, in a village where other people also live, and man cannot satisfy all his wants by himself. He has so many wants. Every human being has so many wants. He cannot satisfy all his wants by himself. He has to depend on others. Mutual dependence is there. Without depending on others, nobody can satisfy all his wants by himself. That's why, according to Aristotle, man is a social animal. Man cannot live in solitude. Solitude means aloofness, loneliness. Nobody can live in lonely situation, loneliness, with loneliness. So everybody requires the company of others. So man is a social animal. He cannot live in solitude. Nobody can live in solitude. If at all anybody lives in solitude, either he must be a god or a beast. God doesn't require a society. Likewise, a beast. Beast means an animal. An animal doesn't require a society. But human being requires a society. So every human being requires a society. Without society, no human being will survive. That's why this is the famous quotation of Aristotle. Aristotle says, man is a social animal. Man cannot live in solitude. If at all he lives in solitude, either he must be a god or a beast. This is the famous quotation given by Aristotle. From this, he says, man requires society. Without society, nobody lives. But when we are all living in a society, when all the people, thousands of people, lakhs of people, hundreds of people are living in a society, we are all not having the equal behavior or average behavior. Some people are normal, some people are abnormal. There are bound to be differences. There are differences of opinion among the people. These differences of opinion, the opinions of people may differ from one person to another person. These differences of opinion should not lead to violence. So to stop the violence, we require a government. Government is required to stop the violence and give security to the people. The first and foremost duty of the government is to provide security to the people. So providing security to the people is the foremost function of the government. So when people are organized with the government, that is called as the state. The study of state, the study of the government, the study of the people with rights is called as political science. That's why Aristotle has given a wonderful definition to political science. In fact, he himself has written a book called Politics. Politics is the wonderful book written by Aristotle. So by the name of the book only, for political science was considered as a subject of politics till 19th century. But in 20th century, it is called as political science. Till 19th century, it is called as politics. When our subject is called politics, there is a confusion. In the society, there is a profession called politics. There are so many politicians, MLAs, MPs, ministers, chief minister, prime minister, and other politicians are there. So what is the difference between a politician and a student of politics. That's why a student of politics studies politics as a science. That's why it is called as political science. So study of politics as a science with certain principles and theories, it is called as political science. So political science is considered as one of the master sciences in the treasure of knowledge, and Aristotle is considered as the father of political science. Aristotle is considered as the father of political science. Aristotle wrote a great book called Politics. So the book called Politics is written by Aristotle. So Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. Aristotle is the student of Plato. Plato is the student of Socrates. Now, from upwards to downwards, Socrates is the teacher of Plato. Plato is the teacher of Aristotle. And again, King Alexander is the student of Aristotle. Aristotle's student is King Alexander. So this is how Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, these are the three important philosophers that are considered to be very important political philosophers in the Western political thought. Particularly, they are important in the ancient Western political thought. They are called as ancient Greek philosophers. What is the importance of these Greek philosophers? First, Aristotle. Second, Socrates. Second, Plato. Third one is Socrates. From upwards to downwards, we can say first Socrates. Socrates gave the theory of knowledge. And Plato gave the theory of republic. That's called theory of ideal state. And Aristotle gave the theory of classification of governments, the theory of classification of the constitutions. So that's how these three philosophers are very important philosophers. Among them, Aristotle is considered as a very practical philosopher. That's why he's called as the father of political science. He is known as the father of political science. So Western political thought has three important ancient philosophers to its credit. The first one is Socrates. The Socrates theory of politics is called the theory of knowledge. And Plato's theory of ideal state, that's called as Plato's theory of republic, is another important theory. And third one is Aristotle's classification of governments, Aristotle's classification of the constitutions is also another important. So these are the three important philosophers that we have in our ancient political thought. So friends, this is how the political philosophy has given. And there are also some of the short questions here, short answer questions. What was the Greek idea of the relationship between state and society? State and society. Society means all the people, all the professions, all the general persons who have different professions, farmers, handicraftsmen, soldiers, employees, common people, normal people, abnormal people, rich people. All these people are called as society. And what is a state? A state is called as a bunch of people who govern the people, who govern the common people. It's called as government. And the activities of the government and the structure of the government is called as the state. There is a relationship between state and society. In society, people make the laws, and in the state, the politicians or the government implement the laws. So this is the relationship between state and government. And what did the Greeks mean by membership of the state? Membership of the state means the citizenship of the state. Citizenship is not given to all the people, as I have told you. Citizenship is limited to only those people who are very active in the affairs of the government, who are active in the legislative process, who are active in the judicial process, are only called as the citizens. Not all the people are called as citizens. Common people who are not interested in making law, who are not interested in participating in the judicial functions. They are only common people. They are not considered as law, citizens. But those people who are very active in the formulation of the law and in discharging the duties of the justice as judges, they are considered as the citizens. So there is a difference between the common people and citizens. And third one is discuss the Greek concept of law and distinguish it from modern concept. They considered law as a very important positive instrument for regulating the behavior of the people. That was the concept of law. And they have attached divine value to law. Whoever is not obedient to law is considered as a criminal offender. And likewise, law is considered as an instrument to regulate the behavior of abnormal people. Likewise, in the modern times also, there are so many laws. We have traffic laws. We have laws relating to marriage. We have laws relating to divorce. We have laws relating to distribution of properties. We have law and order in the society. So all the laws are to be examined only from the angle of regulating the behavior of the people. So law is considered as a positive instrument for regulating the behavior of the people. So this is the difference between modern concept of law and ancient concept of law. So friends, in this lesson, we can expect an important question. What are the important features of Greek political thought? Or what are the important characteristics of Greek political thought? The first character is Greek political thought is centered around Greek city-states. It discussed about Greek city-states. It discussed about the nature of Greek city-states. It discussed about the governments of Greek city-states. It discussed about the citizenship rules of Greek city-states. It discussed about the concept of law and justice of Greek city-states. So that means it centered around the Greek city-states. That's the first important aspect. The second one is it gave more importance to the concept of citizenship, and only those people who are active in the affairs of the government, in the affairs of making law, in the affairs of making justice are only called as citizens. So that's the concept of citizenship. And third one is they have given a wonderful interpretation to the concept of law. And law is considered as a divine institution, divine instrument, and law is considered as an instrument to regulate the behavior of the people. And Greek political thought has given utmost importance to the concept of justice. Justice is considered as an important political value. Whenever there is a conflict in the society, we require justice. When there is no conflict, justice is not required. So if there is a conflict, if there is a conflict in the society, to resolve that concept, we require justice. So justice is required to resolve the conflict in the society. And when the conflict is positively resolved, that is called as the stability of the society. So the stability of the society depends on the importance of justice in the society. Greeks have given importance to the concept of justice. So friends, this is all about the characteristics of Greek political thought. In the coming lessons, tomorrow we'll be discussing about one more important political philosopher called Plato. Plato and Socrates. We'll be discussing about the theory of justice of Plato, and also we'll be discussing about theory of education, theory of knowledge, theory of justice of Socrates and Plato in tomorrow's class. Thank you, friends. If you have any questions, you can ask. Hello?
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Amma.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Very good evening, Chappandi. Hello? You have any doubts?
No, sir.
What are the important characteristics of Greek political thought? The first point is Greek political thought described about Greek city-states. The second point is Greek political thought describes about citizenship. The third
Citizenship.
Greek political thought discussed about law.
Law.
Justice.
The fourth point is Greek political thought gave more importance to the concept of justice. Okay, these are some of the important characteristics. In tomorrow's class, we'll be discussing about Socrates and Plato. What is the theory given by Socrates?
Theory of justice.
Theory of knowledge.
Yes, theory of knowledge.
Knowledge is given by
Knowledge.
Socrates. Theory of justice is given by Plato. Plato has given the theory of justice. So in tomorrow's class, we'll be discussing about theory of knowledge by Socrates and theory of justice. Thank you very much,
Thank
friends.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Ah.